Welcome to Deadly Match, a murder mystery by Kelly Marshall. The stars of our story are Seattle homicide detectives Nick Winston and his partner Pat Strom. The two detectives toil through Seattle's dark underbelly, searching for killers who strangle, stab, or shoot their victims. The detectives are an odd couple. He's straight, she's gay. He's a charmer, she's no BS. They chide and criticize each other, but when the chips are down, Winston and Strom are back-to-back, protecting Seattle from criminals with murder on their minds. Here's Deadly Match.
Damn, Strom, I sure wish we would have found the car first.
Nick was bemoaning the fact another unit had responded to the Bolo and Valentina's car and found it first. The 2014 Cube had turned up in Cougar Mountain Region Wildland Park near the Harvey Manning trailhead. We arrived late and CSI had already loaded it on a truck, and the forensic team was taking samples in the immediate area where the car was discovered. Nick tried to pry information from one of the CSI specialists who was first to arrive on the scene, but he shrugged Nick off and said his supervisor insisted on being the first to comb the car for evidence. Nick muttered under his breath,
Asshole.
That's not a way to win friends and influence people.
Hey, we're on the same team here. The least he could do is let me peek inside the car.
Do you think they'd let you snag anything from the car? Let's follow them back and see what we can learn from Ned Thompson.
Thompson's an okay dude. He's contacted me first a few times before submitting his reports. He's all about protocol, but he's a cop too. So he knows the need for clues ASAP.
We headed down Cougar Mountain and made for Ned Thompson's office at the facility known as Park 95 off Airport Drive. Thompson agreed quickly to meet with us. A towering figure at 6'4", he was the supervisor of the CSI division and had a reputation as a polite man, but he could be as menacing as a poked bear when provoked. No one in his right mind messed with Ned Thompson. He nodded his head as we walked into his small, tidy office. His scalp glistened pink beneath his close crew cut. A former Marine, he kept his regulation haircut after separating from the military. Nick offered his hand.
Sir, we're the lead detectives on the case of the woman whose head was found in the garbage last weekend. Your team just recovered the car on Cougar Mountain and should be arriving any minute. Can we hang out while they process the car?
Thompson readily agreed, but advised us to stay out of the way of his team's work. What have you got so far, he asked.
We know of 3 men that she had engaged with on this online dating site.
Nick recapped what we knew about Handsome Harry, the ginger who called himself Hunter McLeish, and the guy Nick had tagged as gay and nerdy.
We really want to get our hands on her phone.
Thompson pinned Nick with an intense look. He wanted to know where we had obtained our information.
The victim's mother offered us her computer. We turned it into CSI, of course.
Thompson's eyes narrowed, his voice suddenly gruffer. He wanted to know if we'd tampered with the evidence before submitting it to CSI.
Well, I wouldn't call it tampering. I'm not going to BS you, okay? We're begging for clues here, and yeah, we opened it up and found her website on Meet Your Match.
Thompson demanded to know how we'd accessed her computer. We've been working on that son of a bitch for 2 days now, he growled.
I can help you with that, sir. Her mother assisted us with the password.
I noticed my brash, cocky partner now referred to Ned Thompson as Sir, and Nick's demeanor seemed subdued. Thompson ordered us to see Derek Crane in room 4 down the hall. Give him the goddamn password and be quick about it, then report back to me. Suddenly, I felt like I was in the military and should salute. Properly admonished, we trooped out of the office towards room 4.
He is pissed.
You think? Derek Crane looked up as we entered. Nick was quick to explain our mission and offer apologies. Crane welcomed our assistance and admitted that he'd been struggling with accessing Valentina's computer.
Try Mateo 5518.
Microsoft Windows opened up, and Crane threw his arms out wide and muttered a 4-letter obscenity, followed by a quick, "Thanks, man." We left Crane pounding the keyboard on Valentina's computer and marched back to Ned Thompson's office. When we entered, Thompson was sitting back in his chair, arms crossed, his mouth pursed and his jaws tight. He sat forward and said, "The team has arrived with the victim's car. You may stand in the background and watch them work. I've advised them to cooperate with you, but you are not, repeat, not, to interfere with their work in any capacity. And let me warn you not to pull that type of shit you did with the computer. Understood?" Nick nodded, and I answered, Yes, sir. We followed Thompson's directions to the bay where two forensic examiners in white paper jumpsuits, booties, and masks were digging through the front seat of the car. One of them emerged with his hand raised high, clutching a cell phone.
He got it. The man holds in his hands the Holy Grail.
Nick inched forward. I touched his shoulder. Hold up, Nick. We run the risk of permanently damaging our relationship with CSI.
They've been ordered to cooperate with us. I'm just asking.
He pulled away from my hand and approached the two examiners slowly. He fished in his pocket, then displayed his badge as he reached the two men.
Would you be agreeable to someone looking over your shoulder when you open up the phone? I'm Nick Winston, lead detective on this case. My partner and I are dying to take a look. We really want to get a fix on the men that she's been dating. Any help you could give us would really help us crack this case.
The white-suited man dropped the phone in a plastic evidence bag. He said it was an iPhone and warned that unless we had a password, we'd be wasting our time.
I might just have an idea.
As I walked toward the trio, I heard him say, "Knock yourself out. Just don't get underfoot." After I joined him, Nick whispered to me,
I bet you 50 it's the same password.
I was reluctant to bet. Women frequently opted for the same passwords over and over. I didn't want to part with $50. He elbowed me.
Come on, be a sport.
I conceded and wondered if I'd have to explain the missing money to Karina. She did the budget and wasn't a penny pincher normally, but we'd paid cash for our new couch and love seat. We both had been eating bologna sandwiches for lunch for the last 2 weeks. Don't rub it in if you win. There was that devilish grin.
Who, me?
It took the forensic team a couple of hours to dust for fingerprints, vacuum the car, and rummage through the assorted fast food bags. The kids must have eaten a lot of McDonald's. Finally, the examiner with the phone looked at us, motioned with his head for us to follow him. He looked at Nick and said, "I hope to God you're right about that password." Nick grinned at me.
I'd bet on it.
We pushed through swinging doors and followed both men down the same corridor we had used to find Derek Crane. Once again, we turned into room 4, where we found Crane hunched over a microscope. He raised his head briefly, nodded, and went back to peering at a specimen. A white-suited man identified himself as Jason Armbruster as he dusted the phone for prints. He looked at Nick. "Your turn," he said.
I think it's Mateo 552018.
Armbruster scowled at Nick. iPhones only take a 6-digit PIN. I couldn't help myself. I flashed the biggest smile I could manage without breaking my face. Nick looked sour, but he dug out his wallet and handed me a 50. Why the hell hadn't we remembered that? Some detectives we are. Nick put his hands on the desk and leaned forward on it. Dropping his head, he studied his shoes. Then raising up, he took his phone out of his pocket and pressed a contact.
Kamala, hi again. This is Nick. Yeah, we've got a problem here. The good news is we found Valentina's car.
He listened for a minute.
It was found in the Cougar Mountain Region Wildland Park, and as luck would have it, we found her phone too. We're having some trouble opening it up. Would you happen to know the password?
He listened for her response.
Well, damn.
He threw his head back and stared at the ceiling.
Would you mind if I asked you for the date of birth for both of the girls?
He typed notes into his phone.
So that's Martina Maria Colon. She was born February 22nd, 2011. Is that right? And the other girl, Victoria Isabel Colon, March 3rd, 2013. Okay, we're going to try something here. Hopefully it works. I may have to call you back. You are a dear woman, by the way. Thank you, Kamala. I appreciate it. I owe you big time.
I wondered just how Camilla was going to collect on that debt.
Let's give it a shot, Armbruster.
Jason replied, "How do you want to do this?"
Try 02511.
Armbruster punched in the code. The tiny circles on the phone shook from side to side, signaling an incorrect code.
Try her initials and birthday. Make that MC2511.
Again, the phone's circles danced back and forth. Wrong again.
Okay, let's see if she has used Victoria's information. Her birthday is 030313.
Nick crossed his fingers. Once again, the phone answered an electronic no.
Shit, we're running out of options. This is it. I'm out of ideas. Try VC3311.
We both waited for a response from Jason Armbruster. Then a smile inched across his lips. He looked up. His eyes sparkled. "Houston, we have liftoff." We couldn't contain ourselves. We giggled like girls and fist bumped.
Open that son of a bitch up.
Nick sidled next to him so he could see. Armbruster chose the recent screen in her contacts. One phone number repeated itself several times on the night of her murder. Nick dialed the number on his phone.
Hello, is this Handsome Harry?
Nick looked at me with a shed-eating grin, then pocketed his phone.
Mr. Meet Your Match didn't want to talk to me.
Deadly Match is the fifth story in the Winston and Strom murder mystery series. You'll find links to paperbacks and ebook versions of the previous mysteries on my website, kellymarshallbooks.com. Stop by and leave a comment. I love connecting with my murder mystery fans. My partner in crime is well-known radio and voiceover personality Larry Hines. He deserves credit for helping me voice and create this podcast. Say hello, Larry.
Hello there, this is Larry Hines, also known as Nick Winston. I am the other side of Kelly Marshall's podcast. Like Kelly, I have worked numerous radio stations around the globe, and I've done voice work all over the place. Anyway, I also do narration on specialty programming and radio station imaging. I look forward to working with my radio friend on her book podcasts as we update our new readings all the time. Stay tuned for our latest adventures. Thank you for listening.
Come back for the next episode of Deadly Match 2 weeks from now. Till then, stay safe.